Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to Obsessive Compulsive Gaming. My name is Joey, and I'm obsessed with video games, and today we're going to review Scars Above. So chaps, if you wouldn't mind, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video, all that fun stuff. So, Scars Above released last year, and this comes to us from Madhead Games. Don't worry, I'd never heard of them either. So what is this game? Well, so glad you asked. This has been described in the reviews I could find anyway as a Souls-like game. You know, something like Dark Souls, hence Souls-like. A genre that anyone who knows me knows I don't get on awfully well with. But would I describe this as a Souls-like? And more importantly, did I enjoy this game? Well, let's find out. So, story. What can I tell you about the story? So basically, we're part of a space crew. Something goes wrong. Our ship crash lands on an alien planet. We wake up dazed, confused. And not only do we have to find the rest of our crew, who have somehow got scattered, and one or two of which have become the proverbial shit in the van, but we have to contend with some AI, intelligence, androids, Ultron, bad guy thing who wants to harvest human lives or some nonsense. I mean, obviously that's a really pathetic attempt at recapping the story, but that's, you know, that's the gist of it. Obviously there is more to it than that, but there's no point in me telling you. I mean, why would you come? I mean, why come to a review if I'm going to spoil the whole game for you? I mean, that just doesn't make any sense. Unless, of course, you're doing a spoiler review. In that case, then, it's acceptable to spoil the game. But not here. Not in just a normal review. Anyway, I'm going to stop rambling now. If you hadn't guessed, this isn't scripted again. I'm becoming so lazy. So, gameplay. Like I said, this has been described as a Souls-like. I wouldn't call it that. I mean, there is a system where when you save your game at these checkpoint things, the enemies respawn. But apart from that, I wouldn't describe this as a Souls-like for a start. This has actual difficulty modes, which, for any of you who know me, have maybe seen some of my other videos, know I'm a big fan of difficulty modes. So, of course, I played this on easy, so maybe it's a very, very, very difficult game if you play it on normal or hard, but I didn't. So, I can only talk about my experience with the game. My experience with the game was I breezed through it, and that, to me, was heaven. That might be a bit of an exaggeration, but it's as close to heaven as I'm going to get in the world of video games. Give me an easy mode, and I'm yours all night. No, that's not what I meant to say there. Never mind. So basically, the game is split up into 6 chapters, and in each chapter, you'll more often than not be exploring a new location on this alien planet. So for example, there's a location that's gross and looks like the inside of a heroin addict's mouth. There's another location, not that I've ever seen the inside of a heroin addict's mouth, may I add. I won't even look inside my own mouth, for God's sake. There's another location that's covered in snow. There's another location that has lots of poison stuff in it. I think you get the point. And as you're exploring these locations, you'll of course be killing enemies, killing bosses, finding upgrades for your weapon. More often than not, though, it'll be adding elemental damage to your weapon. So for example, you'll get a fire upgrade, you'll get a poison upgrade, you'll get an electricity upgrade. You know, pretty standard stuff. And each of these upgrades are good against a particular set of enemies in the game. So far, so straightforward. So if I wouldn't call this a Souls-like, what would I call it? Well, this is your pretty standard third-person shooter, which isn't a bad thing. I mean, you might think I was then going to say, oh, that's a bad thing. No, that's not I like third-person shooters. And spoilers, this is a pretty good one. I actually really enjoyed my time with this game. Like I said, I was able to breeze through it, so that always adds to my enjoyment level. There's nothing worse than getting stuck at a boss or an enemy and wanting to hurtle your controller at the nearest elderly person you come across. Not that I recommend hurtling your controller at elderly people. Don't do that. That's a very bad thing. You'll go to prison if you do that, right? Just take it from me, right? Don't do that. I did that once and it didn't end well. I'm of course joking. Like I would throw my expensive PlayStation 5 controller at an elderly person. Are you insane? So what else can I tell you about the game? It's not half bad looking. Actually, I should have mentioned this earlier. This game is very much like Returnal on the PlayStation 5, except whereas I despised that game, it was a very good looking game. Whereas I really like this game, and it's not the best looking game. It doesn't look as good as Returnal does, obviously. Returnal was a PlayStation 5 exclusive. This is made by a game studio I had never heard of, and will probably forget the name of the second I stop recording this review. In fact, I think I've already forgotten what it's called already. Something head, cheese head, no, demon head, no. Oh, I'm sure it'll come back to me. So, pretty standard third-person shooter. Not difficult, at least on easy modes. Hence why it's called easy mode. Pretty good story. Some nice twists and turns along the way. Some nice boss fights. Reminded me a lot of Dead Space. Obviously, this is nowhere near as good as Dead Space, but it does have that horror edge to it. And yeah, it's if I could sum it up in one sentence, it's basically like an easier, uglier version of Returnal. Yeah, I'm happy with that. It's an easier, uglier version of Returnal. And that's not a bad thing. So, if I had to give it a score, I'm going to give it a 7. I actually really enjoyed my time with this, and I know that might be controversial. Any review I've looked up for this game, people hated it. I didn't hate it. I actually thought it was pretty good. I enjoyed my time with it, and I'll play it again at some point. So yeah, thumbs up from me. So there you have it. My very rambling review for, what's this game called again? Scars Above. My God, I'm not with it today. If you enjoyed this little review of mine, don't forget to give me a thumbs up. If you haven't enjoyed it, thumbs down. And remember to always stay obsessed with gaming. Now, if you excuse me, I'm going to go teach myself how to speak the English language. Coherently and eloquently. Yeah. Adios, Bella Lugosi.
Are you still here? Oh, you must have really enjoyed this video then. In that case, you had better subscribe to the channel and check out our other content. Otherwise, you're a booby pants, and no one wants to be a booby pants.